Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. My name is Hagen Given. I am a senior recreation leader here at the City of Los Alamitos Recreation Department, and I am so excited to be able to share with you my tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the last couple years of making charcuterie boards. This is one of my favorite things to do if I'm going to any family gathering or work event. It's just such a fun and simple way to bring a different variety of options for food to snack on while you're enjoying each other's company. So today, join us and I will be teaching you just a few tips and tricks on how you can get your charcuterie boards to be looking a little fuller and more elegant so that your board stands out at your next family gathering or party. We did all of our shopping at just a local grocery store this time around, which they have such good variety and options for you. So feel free to join us and stick around as we enjoy our charcuterie board today. So just a reminder before we begin preparing our charcuterie board to always wash your hands before touching any of the food for at least 20 seconds. So my favorite thing about making charcuterie boards is the unlimited possibilities that there are while you're making your board. There are so many different types of cheeses and meats and crackers to choose from, and there's just an endless amount of options, which makes it fun because then every single board that you make is a little bit different. So today I went to just our local grocery store and decided to pick out some of my favorite things to feature in today's video. So I'll go through the list of things. These are what I decided to choose. It doesn't have to be the same when you guys make it at home. I like more sweeter things. I'm not super big into savory, and so I've gotten some items that I think I'll enjoy, but enough to have a different variety. Because that's the best part, is that every board is a different variety of sweet and savory and the perfect blend, and you can make whatever bite you want to. So the list of supplies that you're going to need are simple. You'll need different variety of cheeses, different variety of meats, crackers, and then whatever additions that you want to add to your board. So for today's video, the cheeses I decided to get are Gouda, cheddar, and brie. And then for our meats, I really like getting the variety packs because it just gives me the option to try different meats every single time. And so we have just different cured salamis, and then we also got prosciutto that's wrapped up in mozzarella, which is my personal favorite. And then for our crackers, I decided to do the same thing of just getting a variety pack of assorted crackers, as well as my favorite Townhouse Original crackers. I also enjoy having different varieties of dipping sauces, so I got a red pepper hummus, and as well as just regular organic honey. As we begin to make the charcuterie board, there's a few tips and tricks that I've learned over the past few tries that will just kind of make your charcuterie board stand out a little bit more and be easier for you as you design it. So when you begin making your board, you're going to want to start with the biggest items first. And so I'm going to be placing our hummus and the honey in these jars. So I have a glass jar and then just a little ceramic jar. And so I'm going to place these on the board in whatever way works for you. It doesn't really matter, but you want to start with getting the bigger items placed so that way you can fill up the extra space with the smaller items. So I'm going to begin with the jars. I'm just going to do catty corner to each other. And then for the cheeses, there's different methods of cutting your different cheeses. And I found it works best for me to cut them into bite-sized pieces just so they're easier to build on the cracker. So for the Gouda, I'm actually going to keep in the original circle that it came in. I'm just going to start the cutting, and then we also just have a regular cheese knife for people to be able to cut their own pieces as big as they want. So I'm going to place my Gouda in the other corner, and then for the brie and the cheddar, I am actually going to cut those up into smaller pieces. So for cheddar, I think it's really fun to cut it into little cubes. It makes it look a lot fancier and pretty while it's on the charcuterie board. As well, it just makes it easier to pick up into your bite-sized pieces. So I'm just going to cut it in half long ways. And then I'm just going to cut like bite-sized pieces off of it. And then I'm going to cut these sections into thirds. So cutting it this way just makes a fun design that really stands out on your charcuterie board. So I'm just going to place these just in the corner here. And I might end up moving some things around as we add more. You'll kind of see how you want to design it. But that's the beauty about it, is that there's no real perfect way to do it, and so feel free to try a little bit different at home. These are just the tips and tricks that I've learned that I think make the charcuterie board a little bit more fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and just continue to slice up the cheddar. Perfect. So I'm gonna add the last little bit of the cheddar cheese. Makes a pretty big mound. And then I'm gonna grab the Gouda and cut this one open as well. So for the Gouda, I think it's just really pretty to leave it in its original form in this circle. So all I'm gonna do is start the cut, and I'm gonna cut it into just little triangles. So I'm gonna start, so kind of like a pie or a cake, I'm just gonna cut out the first cut and then leave it on the board. So I'm gonna do one, I might do a couple actually. Let's do 3. And then when you place it on your board, you can just pull out these little pieces and fan them out. To give you a nice look. And then this is where you can place your cheese knife. Okay, so the next cheese we have is our brie. And brie is a little bit tricky because it is a softer cheese. So what I like to do is I like to just cut it in half and then do thinner strips. So because brie is such a soft cheese, you'll want to take your time slicing it. So as you can see, I go really slow all the way down to the cutting board and then drag my knife along the bottom to make sure I get a clean cut. So the beautiful thing about a charcuterie board is that you have the ability to move things around and place them wherever you like. So as I'm looking at this, I've decided that I'm actually going to move my cheddar more into the middle, so that way I have more room to place my brie in this corner. So I'm adding my 3 cheeses in a row diagonally. And then for the brie, I'm actually just going to kind of fan it out from the corner. So just lay them on top of each other. Okay, so now that we have all of our cheeses placed on our board, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with our meats. So for our meats today, we have the variety pack that I was talking about, which includes a dry salami, a peppered salami, and a calabrese salami. So I'm just gonna start by taking the salami out of the packaging and lining them all up on my cutting board, and then I will show you guys some fun tips on how to make them look extra fancy on your charcuterie board. So what I like to do with the salami is that I like to fold it in half and then in half again. So that way it makes like a fun, like a pretty rose design. So I'm gonna do that with most of them, and then I'm gonna place them in a row through the different cheeses. Another really helpful tip that I have found is that if you take 2 pieces of salami that you've folded and interlock them together, it will make them fan out a little bit better, and then you can also put more on your charcuterie board. So another huge helpful tip, if you want a fuller looking board, is to just layer your salamis together and then put them all together in the same spot on the board. So I am all finished up with the first row of salami, and for the second row, I'm decided that I'm just going to be folding these ones in half and then folding them and laying them on top of each other in a row, fanning them out just like I did the brie. There are so many different options for what you can do with your salami or with your different cured meats. So this is where I invite you guys to be creative and come up with different designs and options for what you want to do for your own charcuterie boards at home. I decided that I wanted to do different sections, and so I'm gonna wrap the brie with the different type of salami for my third row. So my favorite thing about shopping at our local grocery store is that they have a lot of different options for your charcuterie boards. So for this case, I wanted to get prosciutto, but prosciutto is kind of hard to work with, and I never really know what to do with it because it's so thin. And so I found these prosciutto and mozzarella roll-ups, which I think will be perfect for our board today. Okay, so now that we have all of our meats and cheeses on our board, I'm gonna go ahead, before we can do anything else, I'm gonna fill up our 2 jars with what's going inside. So the clear one, I'm just gonna put a little bit of honey. So adding honey to your charcuterie board gives you the option to be able to have a more sweet bite. A lot of the options on the charcuterie boards are very savory with the different cheeses and meats. So for somebody who has more of a sweet tooth, this just gives them the option to have a little bit sweeter bite as they enjoy the charcuterie board. So another great addition to any charcuterie board is just a little bit of hummus. Hummus has a great texture and is perfect for just adding to your cracker before putting the cheese or the meat. Okay, so we're almost done. Our last step is to add our crackers. So I went ahead and just got our assorted crackers, as well as just my favorite snacking crackers, just the Townhouse Originals. So I'm gonna start with our assorted pack and open these up. So I love getting the variety pack for our charcuterie boards just because it gives you the option to have just a bigger selection and a different variety of crackers. A lot of crackers have different textures or flavors, so this just gives you a great option to have a lot of variety on your charcuterie boards. So adding the crackers is one of the last steps in filling up the rest of our charcuterie board. So our goal here is just to fill up any available space. So crackers are obviously a little bit larger, and so you really just try to fan them out or place them anywhere you can on your board just to fill up all of the available space that is left over. So our board is coming together really well. We're almost done. We're coming to our last things that we're going to add to our board. So the last things we're going to add is our grapes, and then I have some roasted almonds as well that we can sprinkle on. And then I'll be sharing a fun tip to add that extra spark of fanciness to your charcuterie boards. So I'm just going to cut up the grapes just so they can be a little bit more individually portioned, so people have an easier time grabbing them and enjoying them. So making your charcuterie board is a lot of fun because it doesn't really matter where you put things as long as you can get everything and all your favorites on the board. So as I'm designing it, I kind of just move things around just to create some more space, create some more empty space. So I'm utilizing the entire board and filling it as much as I can. That's one of the biggest tips I have is to, if you have a lot of different options, you can obviously use a bigger board, but with smaller boards, it makes them look a lot fuller, which makes it just look a lot more elegant and put together and more formal. Okay, so we're almost done with our charcuterie board. It is looking delicious. I cannot wait to start digging into this and start eating. But my last step that I like to do is just add a little bit of the final touches using some florals. So I just went and grabbed some baby's breath from our local grocery store as well. And this just adds some fun textures and a pop of color to your charcuterie board. So I'm gonna do that. So we don't need to use a lot. This obviously is just for decoration. And so I'm just gonna cut off a few little stems. So obviously adding baby's breath to your charcuterie boards are not necessary, and it's something that you're not gonna eat. But I think it just adds a little extra design and decoration to your board that really just makes it stand out. So if you go ahead and decide to use the baby's breath as your final decoration pieces, I recommend just keeping in mind that less is more in this case, and I would use just a few little stems maybe on opposite corners of the board and just trying to balance it out as much as possible. I really think that adding this just gives it that final touch look and really just completes the board and brings everything together. Okay, so that is our charcuterie board all set and complete. Thank you so much for joining us today. I had such a blast filming this and being able to create this beautiful masterpiece. I am so excited to go and share this with my coworkers and start digging in. If you guys are looking for more helpful videos like this, be sure to check out all of our different social media channels. We have our Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. If you guys are looking for more virtual community center-like videos, you can go to thecityoflosalamitos.org/recreation and find a bunch of different options for videos that are so helpful and fun DIY projects and just different activities for you and your family to enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you again soon. Bye.